Hi, everyone. Welcome to our final CPIC meeting of the year. Today is Monday, June 2nd. Just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on our board's website. So if we can start, please, with our land acknowledgement.
Halton, as we know it today, is rich in the history, Hi. Looks good. Halton, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and the Métis, from the lands of the Anishinaabe to the Atawandaron, the Haudenosaunee, and the Métis. These lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in indigenous history. As we gather today on these treaty lands, our Catholic social teaching calls us into solidarity with indigenous, our brothers and sisters, to honor and respect the four directions of lands, waters, plants, animals, and ancestors who walked before us. All these wonderful elements of creation exist, gifted to us by our Creator God. We acknowledge and thank the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation for being stewards of this traditional territory.
Thank you very much. And over to Emily for opening prayer.
As we come to the end of our time together this year, we take a moment to pause and reflect and give thanks. This prayer invites us to honor the work we've shared, the growth we've experienced, and the presence of God in it all. God of every season, thank you for walking us through this year in the work and the waiting, the plans and the pivots. We are grateful for the opportunity to serve, to listen, to speak, and to support one another. Thank you to the students, staff, and parents who inspire us, and for the families who entrust us within this role. As we look ahead, help us carry what we've learned into whatever comes next, with hearts open to your calling and hands ready to serve again. We ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you very much. Okay, so just moving right along here. So for our agenda, does anybody have any additions, deletions, changes, anything to the agenda?
I can't find my button. I'd like to add a item under the, I guess, discussion items, if we can. I had some notes here, hang on. I don't know where I put it. I've created a resource. It's a prayer booklet for Catholic school councils. And I just thought that was something we could share in the fall. And I'd just like to share it with you if we have time.
Okay, can I have I guess that is the motion to add an agenda item. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Janelle, and all in favor? Okay, cool. So we'll add that in as agenda item 6.3. 6.3. Okay. Okay, so can I have a motion to do any other changes to the agenda? Nope. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Lobby, second, Emily, and all in favor? Wonderful. Okay, moving on. The minutes from our last meeting. Any changes, deletions, additions, objections? Motion, please. Ready, Jerry? Second. Emily? All in favor? Beautiful. Okay, and over to Superintendent Adolfo for a board update then. Thank you.
Good job. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming tonight. The plants and the book on your tables is just a token of our appreciation. Thank you for all that you have done as members of CPIC. We really appreciate, we know this is a lot of your own personal time. You were nominated to the position, you've taken the position, and you have exceeded all the expectations with all the work that you've done this year. So thank you to everyone for a smooth 24-25 and looking forward to working together with you next year. To the outgoing CPIC members, to Jerry, thank you for like the 5 years I've been on CPIC. Thank you for all that you've done. We appreciate you and we appreciate all that you've done. And hopefully you'll continue to be a friend to CPIC and step up wherever there's a need in the future. Janelle, thank you as community rep. I'm not sure if you're interested to come back next year, but would love to have you if you're interested. So thank you for all of your effort with CPIC. To Angelo, thank you, Angelo. I know it was a short year, but know that there's a place for you as well. If there's an opportunity for you to come back, please join. And Emily, to you as well. Thank you for all that you've done. And again, if there's an opportunity for you to come back, please, all your effort is appreciated, okay? And to our new CPIC members who have joined us tonight, welcome. This will be your first meeting that you can see how everything runs at CPIC. It is a well-oiled machine. You've got a commitment of a lot of people on this committee. They run things well, but they need the support of everybody on the committee to continue the work that they're doing, okay? So for the board update, under the achieving pillar, students in grade 3 and 6 are completing their EQ assessments right this week, supported by their school communities. Many Catholic school councils provide the nutritional stack program for the EQO writing time, so thank you parents for doing that. Grade 9 students will complete their math EQAO, and earlier in May, the OSSLT assessment was completed and results were available to families today. Semester 2 exams will take place beginning the last 2 weeks of June, and students will be able to review their exams and marks on June 26th. And semester 2 report cards will be sent home electronically the first week of July. Planning and wrap up for many of the STEAM activities and robotics events are taking place or have taken place, and we appreciate the whole curriculum team who has been supporting those activities. There's many culminating activities, both in the classroom at the secondary and elementary level. There are culminating tasks that are happening in our secondary, during our secondary exam schedule. So if a student did not have an exam, they only had a culminating task, some of those culminating tasks are actually happening during the exam schedule. For elementary, term 2 report cards will be distributed electronically from June 24th to 26th. The schools will communicate to their families which day they'll be sending out their report cards. Some schools have opted, with feedback from their parents, to do a paper copy of the report card, but all will still get an electronic, okay? This is an exciting thing for a grade 9 HT student who came first in the World Caribou Math Contest. It was communicated and shared in the community, and then today it was actually a news release. Yeah, so that's great. That's a huge, to be recognized as the first in the world was great. Under the believing pillar, we begin the month of June devoted to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which for Catholics is a sign and symbol of God's boundless and compassionate love. We are praying the novena to the Holy Spirit currently. In this special year, the year of the Jubilee of Hope, we have been celebrating as pilgrims of hope. Pope Francis says, "May the Holy Spirit illuminate all believers in the light of hope." Each day of the novena has been focusing on one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Schools, as I mentioned before, are continuing to meet with the parish priests about the liturgical events within the family school so that everybody has the dates for their community. Our parishes have been so busy with First Communion, confirmation, especially with confirmation being hosted by the parish priests. They've been busy places right now, but they do make time to meet with the school so that the whole liturgical year for next year has been set. In addition, we have all of our schools have a year-end mass, and then we have our graduation masses and liturgies taking place. So thank you to our parish priests for all the time and effort that they have put to support our schools to work in collaboration with the schools. The Jubilee Cross continues to travel across our schools in the month of June and will be housed at Thomas Merton for the summer. because we have our summer school program. And so that's where it'll be housed for the summer. And then come September, it will be back in the schools to wrap up the year. Okay. Under the belonging pillar, last week, we highlighted Canada's National Accessibility Week with Red Shirt Day and a touch of red across all of our schools on Wednesday. Today, we kicked off Pride Month with Rainbow Day and the raising of the Pride flag at the Catholic Education Center and all of our schools. This morning, we had our opening liturgy with the flag raised here at Halton Catholic, just outside this morning. June is also the National Indigenous History Month, and on June 21st, National Indigenous Peoples Day. All of our high schools have welcomed our grade 8s into their schools for preparation for September with a great community event. So some of the schools had it last week, some of the schools are having it this week, a great night for our grade 8 students. Next week, we have our Life Skills Prom at Notre Dame on June 11th, and we look forward to all the graduation ceremonies and proms that are taking place for our grade 12 students. Many of our schools have their year-end events taking place, be it a barbecue, a talent show, an arts festival. Each of the school has its own unique way to wrap up the year. They've done that in collaboration with their Catholic school councils. I know many of you have been a part of those events, so thank you to all of you who have supported it, and thank you to our parents who've organized those events. And then we have our spring sports that are coming to an end: track and field, Special Olympics, soccer, baseball. You name the activity, something's taking place every day this week. Under the Becoming pillar, we received our core ed funding from the Ministry of Education on May 23rd. Our business services team is reviewing our budgets and setting the budget for 25-26. Our enrollment update, we continue to take new students specifically in our growing communities, but all of our schools are, if there's a flux, if they may be losing students, there may be gaining students, but it's relative to what our planning projection has been. Elementary is a little bit down right now, which is traditionally where we're at this point. So we're sitting at 21,264 students. We traditionally see an uptake of about 400 to 500 students for September, okay? But what's changed is we don't have a steady picture of what it's going to look like for elementary. We know our growth areas. So St. Cecilia, St. Gregory, St. Josephine Bakhita, St. Veronica, those are our growth communities. But then we also see some of our older communities have younger families moving in. So it's not solidified. We won't see that till September, but we plan with the numbers that we have right now, and we're staffing for those numbers. In secondary, we are up 1,200 students. We're currently sitting at 14,955 students. Very happy to see all the new students that are coming to Halton Catholic. Currently for our staffing, where our greatest need is French, math and science at secondary level, and our tech teachers. Student placements for elementary and secondary schedules will be available to parents and students on Friday, August 29th. So that's the Friday before the Labor Day weekend at 11 o'clock in the morning. Okay, those will be accessible. Throughout the summer, there's many facility renew projects that are taking place across our schools. Two in particular that, because they're my family schools, St. Patrick's and Ascension. And then facilities has updated us just in terms of our outdoor spaces, our gardens and things like that. A lot of, it's not because we haven't done it. We just waited till we made sure we had the funding to ensure the outdoor spaces could be maintained. They can. We got that green light from facilities last week. And there's some new lighting projects that are helping for the outdoor spaces of our schools. We communicated this before, and I know a lot of the technology is out in our schools. So about $264,000 Board of Trustees approved that. So all of those new resources, some have started to go into the schools. And if they haven't, they'll be there for September. Maybe Diana, how's for your school? I know you received some.
We haven't received the actual devices yet, but they've been ordered. So it should be there for the end of June.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, now the year-end report. So Andrea has prepared the year-end report. I'm going to let her share the PowerPoint. This highlights all the wonderful things CPIC has done this year. If it is approved by CPIC, and not that we have to approve it tonight, we'll send it out to you. And if there's any changes that CPIC would want, and then we'll post it to the website.
That's going.
seriously.
Okay. So the first page of the report actually just highlights the role the CPIC plays to promote parent engagement across our schools. Slide 2, Andrea. And I do think the mandate of CPIC and all the different activities that the CPIC committees, the subcommittees have planned all year are very highlighted throughout this report. Next page highlights all the members of CPIC. Everybody who served on CPIC this year. It highlights the dates of all of our meetings. And then our council chairs events and different things that we did. So we started the year with a great night where we had a great activity led by Emily. And then we had the cell phone presentation and the mental health presentation, that one. Then in February, we had the event that was at Corpus Christi. We had Halton Food for Thought and Food for Kids presentation, and then the foundation. Okay, so that was that one in February. And then just last week or 2 weeks ago, we had our final council chairs at St. Kateri, a wonderful night. And then Sarah Westbrook had presented to our parents, and we presented our Volunteer of the Year awards. So CPIC members, the board committees, as all of you know, Anti-Black Racism Steering Committee, Bullying Prevention and Intervention Committee, Focus on Faith Committee, Journey with Jesus Committee, Mental Health, the school year calendar. There were a couple other committees that they may have asked for one representative. We don't have it highlighted here, but if there's something that's missing that you want to be highlighted, we'll add it to it. The subcommittees of CPIC, the bylaws, the Catholic School Council Committee, the Parent Community Engagement Committee, and then the Social Media Committee. The evening with Bishop Crosby, we had the table of CPIC members, and we can talk about that if that is something we want to continue for next year. The various presentations, so we had Jillian presented year 3 of our theological theme. That was when we started CPIC last year, and we will continue to have Jillian present that to CPIC next year. Andrea Swindon had presented about PPM 170, the school board communication with parents. We had World Book Day Initiative, if you go back, Andrea, and Linda Murray had presented a presentation. And as we said last year, when Linda did that presentation, many of our schools do something. Some schools do it on World Book Day. Some schools do it throughout the year. So we said that it's important that we honor the traditions that each of the schools have created, but know that all schools are doing something. And then our subcommittee initiatives. So the Let's Connect sessions, the 3 sessions that happened, well attended last year, throughout the year. And then we had our volunteer awards that were presented to our representatives from each of the schools. The training session for the new CPIC members. In November, we had Superintendent M. Del Sordo present about e-learning together with our consultant, Maureen Aslin, and our Vice Principal, Sonia Ellison. Then we had the Pathways presentation on November 19th. And we heard from CPIC that parents wanted it for the winter. Unfortunately, it didn't align with our staff who could do it. So we just want to maybe talk about that tonight after for the fall to make sure we get the dates now and can give it to the staff so they know that for next year. Okay. Then we had the wonderful presentation that was done by Savis and One Child. Thank you to Jackie for all your hard work that we did at St. Kateri in March. And then the vaping presentation that Patrick Brophy had done at Holy Trinity. And that was well received by the parents who attended, and a desire that maybe that is another presentation we would want to start in the fall. Okay. And then our pro grants. So CPIC had Sarah Westbrook that we used at the council chairs meeting. And then all of the schools that submitted a program proposal, those are listed on there. And some of those activities are still finishing up this year and will be completed by the end of June. And two schools had actually asked if they could do their event in the early fall, and I permitted them to do that. Okay, so just they had to change either it changed on their commitment of their council meeting or the presenter that they had locked in, and they moved it to the fall, and we allowed that. Okay. So just on that note, for parent engagement sessions for 25-26. So Pathways, we want one in the fall. That's an in-person event. Having said that, it's well attended. It's a large one. Do we want 2 locations? Do we want 2 regional locations? Like, I want your feedback about that so we can tell the staff now so they're prepared to doing that and they have that date on their calendar for the fall. Then the vaping is a huge topic, okay? But I do think it'll be better attended if it's in the region of the parents that live there. So Patrick Brophy did it. He's going to be principal at Assumption next year, so he could do it at Assumption. Okay, he will do it, but he could go to another location if that was the desire. Okay, so just let's think about that. And then we said, like, the anti-sex trafficking, that was a well-attended event in Milton. Do we do one in the fall in one location and one in the fall again in Milton? Or in the winter, like whatever the committee decides, but we know how it's a topic that parents want the information. It was well attended and we had the funds to host an event like that. So I'll leave it up to CPIC what they want to do. Then we had Sarah Westbrook, and for those that were council chairs, that was a great presentation by her. Sarah does attend many schools for different events. Do we want Sarah to come back? Do we want community programs to come back? Like, we had the Rock share all of their resources around mental health a couple of years ago. Should we bring them back now? Right? So just think about things that we've done. Maybe parents, as their children get older, they may not remember about those programs that are available to them. Maybe we want to bring that back. And then the other topics around mathematics, we had that. Superintendent Skripik will do another presentation if that's a desire of CPIC. And then maybe even sharing, the Superintendent Skripik could share about this, is the tutoring opportunities that are available. Or Superintendent Jack Caldera could do it, or Superintendent Kroll. Just any of those programs that are available to parents, you want them to be aware of. So just think about, those are the topics that are sort of, that the ministry has shared, that they want parents to be aware of. And then it's maybe CPIC can be setting those up for our parents. Okay, any questions?
Sorry, so along those lines, would it make sense, I was going to do this anyway, I'm probably volunteering myself for this, if we just realized that as I started talking, a little too late now. Along those lines, maybe you can put something together in terms of sort of a procedure in terms of, so let's book the pathways, let's say for November, because we know that one's a tough one to get, and then the rest will sort of line them up. And before, so that when we start in September, we can sort of hit the ground running in terms of getting those sessions, the parent engagement sessions going. And yes, I guess I volunteered to put that together just now. So I just, at least if we have something by the end of June, would that make sense? Just because of all the things you mentioned just now?
Jackie, that's exactly, I think, what you need. We need, to, like, I think that when CPIC events and the calendar set from June, we hit the ground running in September. Right. And I think that's good for the committee members to know that, so they know, everybody knows their responsibility. Also, it's important to get the location, but also when we're tapping, if we're tapping Halton Catholic staff to do a nighttime event, we have to give headway for them, right, so that they look at their own personal calendar to what they can do on a night, okay? And then we can line it up. So if we, as CPIC members, like, make that calendar of what they think they want, then I can bring it to the board staff and ask, does it align? Do they have to give us another date? And then we have to secure the venue. So all of our schools sort of have Thursday nights blocked off as school events, okay? So CPIC could be a school event, because what happens is we have all the community bookings that happen in our schools. So like, our schools are in high demand by many community programs. So if we don't lock in right away, we're not going to get another night. Okay. So I think it's really important, like that goes out to community partners. So they block off Thursdays and then all the other dates are available to them like in February. So that's why our schools are so blocked up.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I can do, which is the same thing I did last year, I'll send an email this week to everybody to get your preferences for committees for next year. And then if everybody gets back to me within a week, we can have the committees done. And then that way they can, like particularly for parent engagement, where there is a couple of things to be done kind of in June and maybe a little bit of just like coordinating over the summer or whatever. But at least then that committee is put together. So I can sort that out this week.
I just want to state that I'm not volunteering for parent engagement. I just said I would do that piece for June. I just want to clarify that on record.
I have, Nancy, I have a question. But in terms of the topics or like maybe out to the CPIC group, is it possible to maybe do a topic around AI and the future of work? I know a lot of educators are getting a lot of PD around AI. I would just like to kind of see that presented for parents and students.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
So we can have that as a topic. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'm happy to organize that, by the way.
Can I ask on the one slide where it says to find us on Facebook and YouTube, change Facebook to Instagram?
On the
slide.
Okay, perfect.
We do not get nearly the hits on Facebook that we do on Instagram.
Okay.
The question. Sorry, unrelated to anything you spoke about so far, but I had to bring up something new. Sorry. So I've heard from a couple of different schools now that it's just because we're coming close to graduation time, and this is primarily elementary schools I'm hearing it from, is that there seems to be a movement afoot to change how grad awards are being handled and what's being recognized and how. And again, this is a little bit secondhand information, so forgive me if it's a little bit off the mark, but what I'm hearing is that there's a movement away from purely recognizing academic standing, like the top student in geography, the top student in history, French, so on, and that going forward, the awards will be based more around the Catholic education expectations. So I don't. Is that something that's kind of a movement, a mandate? What can you say about that?
It's not a board mandate, I'm going to be honest with you. So elementary grad awards, whatever the school had created as a tradition. So what I could say is some of the newer schools have started with the Catholic graduate expectations, so that it's not about just a subject, even though there's subject within that. So they started that way, okay? The traditional ways of a literacy, a math award, a geography, a history, and that. And again, it depended on the school, because what ended up happening, you had bigger schools, and so they used all the academic areas, plus they had all the other areas that they gave and recognized. So it became tradition of that school. With the smaller school, what ended up happening with the academic awards is the same students were winning several awards. So how do you make that equitable? Right? So if you go to the Catholic graduate expectation and it's a smaller school, you can actually let more students receive that award, because really they're still continuing on their academic path into high school, which there are strong academic awards awarded at the secondary level. That's continuing with scholarships and different prizes and things like prize money, award money that they receive. But at elementary, we want to always, we're an academic institution. We want to support the academics, but it's the whole child we want to support. And sometimes some of our other children who may not be as strong academically won't be recognized. So that's where the elementary schools say, let's follow the Catholic graduate expectations. But again, nobody's mandated they have to do this. It's not coming from the board level or like senior admin or anything like that. It's really about how a school, I'm going to say an administrator together with the staff, together with their parents, have decided how they're going to change something that was a tradition of the school. So maybe, if Diana, if you're okay to speak to, you've been in a couple schools, it is truly different from school to school. They want to honor their tradition, but if they're changing it, what I would just caution, be it if the parents are bringing it, asking for a change, or the administration, the teachers are, it should be in the community and collaborative, right? It should be, and it shouldn't be, we're changing it this year. It should be talking about it this year to change for next year. Diana, if you want to speak to it.
Yeah, and I think the only other thing I would add is that so many of our subjects are integrated with other subjects. So when, you know, a teacher teaches language, they might teach it through the lens of geography or history. And so many of the subjects are integrated, and it's hard to delineate specifically the geography award versus the language award. And you can appropriate it to report card marks for sure, but I think just like Nancy said, in the elementary level, they're still on their pathway to realizing that full academic potential in high school. And so we're really looking at the development of the whole child through the lens of the Ontario Catholic graduate expectations, because that's who we're trying to build, students that are contributing positively to the environment.
And so, Jerry, just if somebody's concerned about it, I would say talk to the school principal, and if they still want clarification, you can go to the superintendent, because anything for the graduation should have been communicated in the fall, so the students knew what they were aspiring to achieve or be recognized for. So to change it midway isn't appropriate. It needs to be communicated from the fall. So if people are thinking about it and they started to bring it up at the Catholic school councils, it's to sort of set the stage to this is where we're going come next year.
Yeah, I think that's fair comment, and a little bit of what I heard, again, anecdotal, so I'm not putting too much stock in it, but is that it was kind of this is what's going to happen. It didn't sound so consultative, so I can at least give them that feedback to say, you know, it should be collaborative. It should be, you know, with some parent input. I mean, yeah, we do look to, you know, local administrators to guide that and to make sure it is done, you know, fairly and equitably. And yeah, I think it makes sense that it reflects a good cross section of our Catholic, you know, education standards, graduation standards. So, no, that's good. Thanks for that.
I just have one thing to say, just kind of just jump on what you're saying, Jerry. At Corpus, I think it was 2 years ago, we introduced, not we as a council, but it was a couple staff that wanted to introduce character awards. And it was honoring like the virtues, not necessarily academics, because it was a lot, like Nancy was saying, that a lot of the same students were winning the multiple awards. And I know at Corpus, we have a lot of students that are with high grades academically. And it kind of recognizes students that might not have those grades. Because when you have a lot of students that are very successful in their academics, and then you have the ones that aren't, kind of feel singled out, or they'll feel stupid, or, you know, and so it was a way to just make it more inclusive. But it wasn't taking away the academic awards. It was just in addition. So, and the teachers were the ones that nominated the students. It wasn't like the students would apply for it. It was just the teachers would say, like, you know, recognize something that they did. And it could be anything, right? It could be just a random act of kindness, or I don't remember what they were. There was like, I think there was like 12 of them, but it was a nice little thing. And it was just, I think, like a pin and like a small gift card or a Kit Kat, I don't know, but it's a nice way to recognize them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess just the development of the kind of the criteria by which they're chosen. I think it's important that be collaborative. I agree that it should be the teachers and admin that pick the winners. It shouldn't turn into some big school vote or something like that. But just that the parents are at the table to contribute to the thought process around, okay, what are we recognizing and why? And that'd be a good cross section, because, you know, yeah, I agree. Academics isn't everyone's thing. It could be other stuff, how they contribute to the community and so on, how they live Catholic virtues and so on. So yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say it did. My son just graduated last year in grade 8, and it wasn't just academics. It was everything. It was the Catholic virtues, which is what we want to promote, which is what differentiates us as a board. But I also think when you're looking at university level, it's what the volunteer pieces. So that's great. Is it possible for us to have the awards on their each school website on what they're doing ahead of time. So say in the fall, they can say, here are the awards that we're presenting at graduation, so that, you know, the students know what's there and the parents know what's there, and they can maybe see. I know it's difficult because even at Katir, we were just talking about, you know, what we can give these additional awards, but I wonder if some of the base awards can be set in advance on their site. Is that too much of an
I'd
ask?
support that. Like, the more transparency, the better. The more parents can see what's going on and what my child can strive for. I'd support that, certainly.
Is it not standard to have them? Because we have them at Corpus. It's all on our grad, like, information by grade.
No, I think
Don't think so.
you have your academic awards, which you know are going to be standard. But then, for example, the council had extra money, so they said, "Hey, would you mind contributing that towards the grad?" So they have, you know, they're going to come up with other awards to try to make everybody feel inclusive. So I think it's important to recognize that you may have 5 additional awards, one for, you know, the academic ones are there. That's a given. You know, the athlete of the year is going to be there, or the athletic one's going to be there. So I think it's the ones outside of that are not necessarily.
There's a lot of awards. Like, to have all of that listed,
It might be too much.
I'm just saying, based on what I know, because I only know the Corpus stuff, there is a lot of awards, and we've actually discussed that sort of stuff at council. And it was just like the logistics of constantly updating
Would be too much.
It's put on the staff, right? So it's sometimes the websites get a little bit behind
no, that's
on stuff
fair.
because
Yeah, but
it's just
Emily,
they don't have-
that's something that shouldn't change that often, right? It's to
No,
Nancy's point.
No, it changes because here's the thing is there's so many different bursaries and different things of like that come, they do come.
Okay, yeah, that. But I mean the stuff that the council picks or council with the minute.
That, what I would say is it's at a council, if it's a Catholic School Council award, that definitely could be there. And I would even say that could be under the Catholic School Council. This is what the Catholic Schools Council does. Is it 3 awards? Is it 5 awards? That you can do, that should be on the website. It should be on the Catholic School Council. But in terms of, if you've ever attended one of the grade 12 graduations, like, it's like for every second child, they're getting something like that. It's that, how many awards that are there, which is wonderful, right? And I think that in addition, each school and their community with their community partners taps into different things. And then even the students themselves with the different bursaries or what the Optimist Club or the Lions Club or whatever that community has, it's there, right? So it's unique by school. And like if you even even if your child is in like grade 9, in their grade 10 year in the fall in October, there is an academic award ceremony. Okay, it's 2 hours usually, and it goes through all the top academic awards and top even extra things. And so the kids are recognized every year. It's not just at graduation. So that's really good. So I think that what you could focus on as CPIC is what the Catholic School Council is doing as an award, or even at grade 8, what the Catholic School Council is doing as an award for a student. Okay, that's where I think you could put your energy too. Yeah.
I'll offer at my school, and I'm different board, but in my school, it's actually guidance counselors. It's the guidance department that has all the grad awards and organizes who's getting what and the meeting for it and everything. So if a parent really wanted to know like all that kind of stuff, that's who I would direct them to, is go and ask our head of guidance who's got what. But especially because those bursaries and those awards for scholarships have deadlines in like the beginning of April kind of thing for the grads to apply to. So, yeah.
Anyways, thanks for that. That was a more fulsome discussion than I was anticipating.
Okay, so does anybody else have any questions for Superintendent Dinolfo? Okay, I'm going to hand it over then to Trustee Dewart for our board update.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Since the last CPIC meeting, we had one board meeting on May 20th. At that board meeting, there was a senior staff update by a curriculum services team, and they highlighted the wonderful work we do in STEAM across our system. They shared the STEAM vision for the next couple of years, and they also shared all the competitions and the awards that our students have won across our system. We are doing very well there, and we look forward to building on what we have started. At that same meeting, there were a couple of notable policies that were passed. Policy I-30, video surveillance. Policy II-15, International and Indigenous Languages Elementary Program Policy. Then we had Policy B-17 for distribution of materials. Policy II-44, Student Mental Health and Wellbeing. Policy II-49, English as a Second Language and English Literacy Development Programs and Services. So these are the few policies that were passed at the board meeting. There were a couple of action reports. One was the North Oakville number 3 Catholic Elementary School budget, which was approved by the Board of Trustees to be around $32,707,000 plus for the North Oakville number 3 Catholic Elementary School, and that school would have a child care center too. The second action report was on Our Lady of Victory Elementary School expansion. The additional project budget that was approved for that was around $13 million, $212 plus for the Our Lady of Victory Catholic Elementary School expansion in Milton. And that has a child care center too. The staff report was brought to the Board of Trustees on the Halton Hills boundary review committee recommendation, and it will be an action report at the next board meeting. I have attended a meeting of the boundary review. It was a good discussion, great discussion, a lot of parent engagement in that community. So thank the parents for that. In other items, we have received core education funding, as Superintendent Dinolfo talked about. Trustees will have a PD session on the funding on the budget session in a couple of weeks. And staff will present the final budget in the month of June, towards the end of June. Some trustees will attend the CCSTA AGM in Halifax later this week. And it's grad season, and trustees will be visiting schools across our system, bring greetings to our students and congratulating them for the wonderful work they have done, and also congratulating our staff for the work that they have done with our students. Since this is the last CPIC meeting for the school year, I really want to appreciate and thank all the committee members for the wonderful work that we have done throughout the year. We did a lot of good things this year, so thank you for all the wonderful work that's done. Really appreciate it. And we have come a long way, and we are doing really, really well. I want to wish you and your families a wonderful summer ahead, and thanks so much. And that's my report. I'm happy to take any questions, if any.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, so our next item would be our OAPC update, but Denise is not here tonight, which is unfortunate because I think tonight would have been her last meeting as well, if I'm not mistaken, that she's retiring. So, so if she watches the recording, we wish her all the best. And she's been the CPIC rep for OAPC here for as long as I've been on, and I expect longer than that. So, yeah, so she's been a great contributor.
Do you know, has the nomination went out for the Halton OAPC rep? Okay.
Not that she's told me, but I couldn't say.
Okay, I'll follow up with her. Just so, because every council has an OAPC rep. So I'm hoping there's somebody who's been attending some of the events that OAPC runs.
Okay, so she's literally just texted me. She was on her way, but is not feeling well. So she's headed home, but she's going to send, Andrew, she's going to send you her report to at least include in the minutes. So we'll at least get that. Okay, so moving on to our subcommittee updates. So for bylaws, Jerry, I'm going to pass it over to you for that.
Yeah, sure. We've not met since the last time. Just another quick follow-up, Nancy. I know we're still waiting on guidance from legal counsel about kind of the direction to take our bylaws in the future. Did we ever get that?
We did. She just
Okay.
said, like, what she said is what we have is fine. And she said, you're okay to do it that way. But what it was about, we were talking about what was going to be created as a shelf for the Catholic school councils, not to be too scripted. Like you had brought the feedback about, do we want to be as Robert's rules as the board of trustees?
Right.
We don't have to be.
No. Okay, good.
But she said, but if you get in a conflict, you may need it to be that way. So I don't think we want that. It's supposed to be collaborative. That's the way we started CPIC. And when we talked about what's the role of this committee, is decisions should be made in collaboration as a committee.
Okay.
Right. And so even to set up your Catholic school councils, they should be making decisions in collaboration with the
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Right.
Okay. So nothing materially different then. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thanks. Yeah. With that in mind, I mean, we'll, I was, tongue in cheek saying I could work on it over the summer. But I think we'll kind of prepare something just to hand off. I'm pointing at Jackie, but doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be Jackie. So it just you've been pigeonholed already for both things. But yeah, we'll have something just to pass over to get the ball rolling next year.
Okay, awesome. And for parent and community engagement,
For the record, I was going to volunteer to do the bylaws shell anyway, because apparently that's what I do, volunteer for stuff by accident. Yeah, it's a tribute. Parent engagement was great. Thank you very much to everybody that helped, and specifically Nancy for, we know that everybody's busy and for coming for all those sessions and supporting CPIC with it. That meant a lot to us. It's always nice to have a familiar face and somebody who's, leading there with it as a board representative. So I think the sessions were good. We had a lot of learnings along the way, learnings that we will apply to next year. So yes, there will be sort of a shell procedure that's going to be created sometime over the summer, but created in the sense that there's going to be a template for what that session looks like, the opening prayer, whatnot, what you need to do, what the numbers look like, the registration pieces, so that anybody can sort of pick up that document and be able to run with it moving forward. So that will be created as a handoff for next year. But overall, thank you to everybody who helped, who joined, who supported, who reposted. We appreciate that, and we're always willing to take any feedback.
And thank you, Jackie, for being our fearless leader on that committee. You did a great job. Truly, thank you.
I echo that wholeheartedly. Okay, school council support. I'm looking at you, Emily.
Janelle's not here. We don't really have anything. We haven't met. We finished our Let's Connect. Yeah, so I don't really have any updates for you. Sorry.
No, that's fine. There wasn't much in the last month of the year. And socials.
Not much new. Changed up our logo for Pride, and had a post, and working on Sacred Heart and the next one. It's a busy month. gotta get them all in there. But no, and then I don't know, we'll just keep track of the summer and keep sharing so that we stay relevant and we stay in people's feeds. So yeah, but thank you. I had a ton of people add us. I was like, oh, look what I did. So yeah, we're good.
Becca, great job, by the way. I just want to say that you did a great job. Yeah, for me to follow, it's a big deal. I'm just letting you know that it was actually very interesting, and it was just the way you kept it going. I love that. So good job on that.
Yeah, Becca's been awesome on socials this year. So that's been great. Thank you. I've been very appreciative. Okay, moving on to representation for board committees. Janelle for the Anti-Black Racism Steering Committee.
Okay, so we had our meeting on May 12th. It was a standard meeting. We had our wonderful facilitators laid out the agenda and walked us through the 5 strategic pillars that shaped this January session. A few issues not originally in the plan were added, and they still ended up being mapped in really well with the pillars. Members got a reminder about the earlier progress report that's already in circulation. It's also available online. The conversation touched on a few programs, so the graduation coaches for Black students, the Black Excellence Symposium, which was a successful event, and then this year we also did a Black Parent Symposium, which was also very successful. Some members had pressed for more concrete timelines and budget clarity, especially with the new school year looming. The director explained the budget cycle, noting that the what was possible and when. So we appreciated that insight. One member asked whether the board policy made meaningful changes to the anti-Black racism, to tackle anti-Black racism. Staff pointed to the progressive discipline policy that has been updated and the hate and bias training modules that are available for staff and educators. The hiring of Black teachers came up again. It tends to be a really hot topic in our committee. The Catholic teacher requirement and the job seniority remains major barriers. The issues being raised before, but stalled due to union and board disagreement. So we plan to return to those discussions in the future, in the new school year, because this is an important issue to talk about. Parents described a case where a teacher accused of anti-Black racism was simply reassigned schools. That was a concern, knowing that just reshuffling of staff without consequences just moves the problem around. Others asked how the board tracks racial bias at the staff and admin level. And then some had argued that generalized data didn't cut it. So we had a lot of fruitful discussions around that. Members questioned whether the Black community members will ever get to see the raw data or weigh in on how it's interpreted. And we had a lot of fruitful discussions around that, around privacy, because numbers are quite low. So we didn't want to pinpoint anyone and unintentionally, unmask them essentially. So yeah, great discussions around that. And we convened and we figured out different co-facilitator models for the next school year. And we had confirmed our meeting schedules for the 2025-2026 school year. Yeah.
Okay, that was a lot going on there. So thank you very much for that. That was great. Does anybody have any questions for Janelle on that before I move on?
Sorry, I do. Janelle, in terms of comparisons, sorry, I can't see you. In terms of comparisons, do we ever have any stats that compare, not that anything is good at all, like in terms of the numbers, but is there anything in comparison to other boards or anything like that? Or is there comparative numbers that say that the instances have gotten less or anything like that in terms of after we've had the steering committee?
So it's hard with the data collection because it's optional if you want to self-identify while you're being, if you have an issue, you can also self-identify, choose not to. So it's actually quite hard. And that was a lot of the discussions around it. Like, how can we actually capture the raw data of whether it is increasing or decreasing? We don't actually quite know. And then compared to other boards, I'm not sure. I haven't been watching other boards, but I know they do put out annual reports the same way we do. So that's something that like the chief research officer would probably have that answer in terms of cross analyzing the data across the boards. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a bunch. Over to you, Lobby, for bullying prevention and intervention.
Yeah, we had our last meeting for this school year on the 6th of May, a day after our last CPIC meeting, and it was a very short one. And we had a new board chair elected at that meeting. Helena Carabella was elected, and that's it. It was very short. Thank you.
Okay, and for Focus on Faith, Emily.
We met in May, the Focus on Faith Committee. Just a quick overview from what was discussed at that meeting. We talked about the Jubilee Cross pilgrimage. The cross, Nancy touched on this earlier, but it's making its way through the schools, accompanied by a journal filled with prayers, photos, and reflections. And it's been a powerful way to engage just students, staff, and families. The Heroes of Hope is a publication. It's now live, celebrating individuals making a difference in our Catholic schools. You would have received an email. There was one that went out, I think, a few weeks ago to nominate. And where is that? So the photos and stories are are featured there on the board website. The Catholic school frameworks, those are updates are underway to reflect equity, Catholic curriculum, and library services, and a revised version is expected in the fall. There's a renewed focus that's on building relationships between home and school parish engagement. They're moving away from more of a triangle model to like a circle of partnerships. So work on initiatives continues just to better connect families, schools, and parishes, especially around our sacraments and kindergarten entry. There were new curriculum highlights. A new family life program is launched for grade 1s. The grades 2 and 3 is planned for next year. Some Indigenous content is being woven into the world religion courses. And Catholic school secondary teachers are contributing to course content to be reviewed and shared across the board. There are a lot of new resources available through library services, and a blog update is going to highlight some of those new materials within the school. And one thing that I thought was an awesome thing to be made aware of was that the special education has adapted sacrament kits that are now available to help support inclusive and faith experiences in our school. So, good stuff. That's all I have.
Okay, awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Emily? Okay, and then lastly over to mental health. Emily or Ada, I'm not sure who's wants to take that one. Jerry, Jesus, I can't read the agenda. It's very difficult.
I was like, okay. That's quite all right. So, well, I mean, it was quite some time ago now, so it's of course all wrapped up. But what I thought I'd do is share just kind of a closing regards from the chair of our committee, Lori Narr. So she sent this out to the committee. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank all of you for your hard work and your dedication to the journey with Jesus. I know that so much planning and organizing went into making this day very special across our system. It was wonderful to see the images coming out from all the schools of the students and communities out walking. The morning liturgy was a beautiful one that brought together both the walk and the Jubilee Year of Hope. Many thanks to all of you for all the time and effort you put in, and mostly for your passion for this day. What a great day across our system, and a perfect day for a new pope. It just happened to land on the day of our new pope being announced. So many things to celebrate. Thank you, everyone, Lori. And just personally, I mean, of course, our probably biggest contribution to the thing was judging the submissions from the students across the system for the creative awards for Journey with Jesus. And I got to say, it was hard. It was hard. It blows your mind, the talent and ingenuity of the kids in our system. And they're writing songs, performing songs, they're putting on skits, and just the artwork and written submissions, and just phenomenal. So wasn't an easy job, I'll tell you that. And it's difficult because, of course, we're only recognizing a handful of them, but I hope locally they all got recognized by their own schools, I'm sure. So anyways, it's a great experience.
Okay, awesome. And now over to mental health.
I'll do it. Unless you want to. So I don't remember what the date was, but we met in May. May 15th. Just some of the highlights from our last committee meeting. The priorities of the mental health committee was to amplify student leadership in promoting mental health. Strengthen the parent and caregiver engagement through improved communication and resources, enhance collaboration across departments and with community partners, and just expand support and services across all tiers, including access to trained professionals. The action plan for 2025 and 2026 were, the student focus was to expand our mental health champion leaders to elementary schools and install mental health cork boards in all schools. For parents and caregivers, there was a centralized mental health and well-being website is currently in development with future plans to offer some like regional like drop-in sessions. For staff, there's ongoing professional development and opportunities for feedback will continue across the board. And then just in the whole here, it was just continued work to deepen those partnerships with our local community mental health agencies and really embed the mental health and well-being into all areas of our board operations. The resources and communication. So the new mental health website is coming. That's going to be offering tools, supports for parents, students, and staff. There is a mental health toolkit that is available through the staff, through internal learning platforms. And there is a new mental health DSB Instagram page. Becca, I don't know if you guys are following it. It's at mental health _HCDSB. And I think that's actually a good way. Okay, just making sure. I think being able to share those social pages within our other board pages, I think that's a good thing. One thing I did mention to I think I mentioned it to both the committees, the Focus on Faith and the Mental Health committees, is that when you're doing social media posts, the static posts, just the single images, don't get as much views, don't get as much interactions as the reels and stuff do. So I know it's a lot of work, but that is where you're going to capture more of your audience. Like I hate you, but it is a good. There's so many resources available to help you with templates to turn even just static photos into reels. CapCut, there's tons of them. Some of them are free, some of them are not, but it's definitely. This is just personally, I do a lot of stuff on social, and my whole business is based on that. So I know the engagement and the views, and you're going to get more engagement with the videos than you would the static posts. Back to mental health, sorry. Just some student engagement highlights was the Mental Health Champion Days. Those were held in Oakville and Burlington and North Halton. And secondary students were leading those sessions, social media, safety, how to access support, among other topics. And during Mental Health Week, a lot of schools hosted a variety of student-led activities. There was a really, really awesome gratitude walls that we showed pictures of, and just little Post-it notes with just things that our students were grateful for. And there was a lot of engagement and discussion around those things. So, and that's it. Oh, wait, actually, no, hold on. I may have one more page. I lied. Oh, and that's just one thing that wasn't really our committee, but it's something I wanted to bring up, is that our board website has a number of really important mental health resources, the in-school supports, the community connections, emergency contacts, local organizations, ROC, Kids Help Phone, the Black Youth Helpline. All of these resources are on the website, and I don't think there's enough push towards it. I mean, I don't know how many people or parents are going on the board site to access that information, but having some more awareness about that, putting our social media accounts just to like highlight those sort of resources, I think is a great way to create that awareness for the support that's available. And that's it.
Okay, sorry, I was writing my notes there. Okay, thank you very much for that. So that wraps up all of our board committees and subcommittees for the year. So thank you everyone very much for all of your contributions on all of those. Okay, the next one on our discussion items, 6.1, we have Catholic School Council bylaws. Do we need to say much more than what we've already said?
I don't think so. I think we know we've got some work to do. Just again, well, first our CPIC bylaws, continue to work on those, amend those, and of course it's an ongoing effort. But then, yeah, I think again part of that handoff will be coming to the table early next year with perhaps a proposal of an outline to give to schools going forward. So carry that over.
Okay, awesome. And then 6.2 was on parent engagement, but Nancy went through most of that in yours. Is there anything else to add at this point?
No, just Jackie, you're going to do a listing and, okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay, awesome. And then our added item 6.3, Emily's prayer booklet. So I'll hand it over to you.
Andrea is going to put up did you get my email? Okay. So what I've created, and before I kind of wrap up my time here on CPIC, I just wanted to share something that I worked on literally last night. Because I had an idea and I put together just a collection of prayers specifically for school councils. And this is just a simple resource that will hopefully help support, inspire the work that our councils do throughout the year. The reason why I put this together, last year, we talked about creating that toolkit for resources for councils. Something practical that could support new members or help our chairs feel more confident. And it didn't totally come together. So if you've learned anything about me in the past 2 years, it's that I probably tend to take on more than I can chew on a regular basis. But I kept on thinking, what are these things that I can kind of leave behind before everything wraps up here? And this prayer book really felt like a good starting point. So it's simple, it's useful, and it is rooted in the values that we talk about all the time: collaboration, faith, community, etc. So there are a few opening prayers for different types of meetings. So if you scroll down to, this is just the table. So there's beginning of the year, decision making. And then there also is a section tied to our HCDSB pillars: achieving, believing, belonging, and becoming, with a reflection and a prayer for each. And then as well as an end of the year prayer and just a little thank you note to our leaders and our members of our school council. It's pretty simple and straightforward. The kind of thing, a council chair can use without kind of stressing over, do I have to do it right? And it's just meant to be helpful and easy to bring to our meetings. I'm thinking it could be shared in the fall with, just as a new way to support councils, or in some sort of like welcome package for new chairs. Or passed along by principals during the first council meetings, or just kept on hand for members that, want to just have something ready to go. It's not really anything huge, but I do hope it's something meaningful. And if down the road there's interest in like building on it, it's a good starting point for, just some resources to start from.
Love it.
And just on another note, this is the end of my Eras tour.
Here we go again with Taylor Swift.
I didn't wear my sparkly jacket. After 14 years on school councils and a few chaotic ones here on CPIC, this is my last meeting. My daughter Sadie is graduating and heading to Western in the fall. Go Mustangs. And I guess that means I'm graduating too. I'm not gonna cry. Being a part of our school councils and on CPIC has been one of the most meaningful and rewarding things that I've done. I've learned so much. I've met so many incredible people. And I've managed to convince more than a few of you to go along with my wild ideas. So thank you. We never got to do a Bible or Taylor Swift, but I feel there's still time. I really, truly feel lucky to be a part of this group. Thank you for the support, your patience, our group chats. If you ever joined Emily and Janelle's late night lounge Teams meeting, and just being a part of that, the madness in the best way possible. I'm not sure what comes next, but leaving this role has me feeling really proud of what we've done together and incredibly grateful for the people that I've gotten to work with. So thank you.
Okay, well, that was very, very lovely. Okay. Okay, so just before we wrap everything up for tonight, where I'm not running it quite as tightly as Janelle usually does, but we'll have to just go with it. So just to our outgoing members, firstly to Angelo, you stepped in mid-year and you got yourself up and running really quickly, and it was a little bit chaotic when you stepped in, but you didn't miss a beat. You've always been there with a solid and steady presence and a very calm and measured voice of reason, which tends to not always be my strong point, so I've always appreciated that. But it's just been like a really awesome, steady presence, and you will be missed next year. I had some stuff written for Emily, but she's kind of like stolen her own thunder. I mean, the fact that you're not in a sequin jacket, I was already going to throw it all out the window. So, but being more serious, to Emily for always making the most amazing team building activities. And in particular, I have that first council chairs in my head where everyone just, everybody's there. It's the first one. Nobody really knows what to expect. You're in a room with like 200 people. And you're trying to make small talk with these people, and you made this activity that just got everybody engaged. And I will never forget at the end of that night, Michael Skripik coming up to me, was the superintendent for math, and he said, and he had a family of schools, and he was a new superintendent, and he just said, this was the most insightful way for me to get an idea of what is important to my school community. Because I got to eavesdrop on this amazing conversation and this amazing activity and find out how they think and what this means to them. And that is insight that I would not have gotten through any other means. And that always stuck with me, that it's just, that activity, just how solid that was. So I might be calling you next year to help with some activities if you're willing to freelance.
To think that I came up with that in like 3 days and it was down to the wire.
Oh, I know. Emily, where's my slide? Where's my slide for the slide deck? I'm working on it, Lauren, shut up.
We didn't need a slide. I still have those, by the way. I have all. They're in my basement taking up room, so let me know if you need them again. We can rejig it too. I'm always,
we're gonna
I'm
talk.
still game for an activity.
We're gonna talk. So, yeah, so I mean, you had made countless contributions, but I really, really wanted to highlight that one in particular with the feedback that came with it. So thank you for all of your contributions over the year. Over to Janelle. I am hoping that you're going to be back in September, but just on the outside chance that you're not. Again, you've been our community rep for 2 years now, and you bring such a unique perspective and such a great energy, and I've loved working with you this last 2 years, and hopefully we get to do more of it. Just thank you for always bringing that different view and for having your voice heard, and it's because nobody does it like you do, so very appreciative of that. And over to Jerry, 6 years, and 4 of those as co-chair. I blame you for getting me into this in the first place, so that's on you.
Welcome.
But you do so much to keep us in line, particularly, like, I don't think anybody knows bylaws as inside and outside as you do. I'm going to miss that. I might call you for some freelance bylaw consulting. No, but just for always also keeping us in line, keeping us on track and on focus, and being game for me sending you all over Halton to go attend school meetings, and you're always up for it. You know, I kind of feel like if whenever we have a job that needs to be done, just be like, oh, Jerry will do it. Jerry's a great guy. Jerry can probably step up and make it work. So that's been awesome. And just to the council as a whole, it's been, we've had a really great year. I mean, Andrea, going through our year-end report, I cannot believe how much stuff. It feels crazy that that's what we accomplished in 10 months, and that it was no small feat, and everybody played a part, and everybody pulled their weight. So I'm very, very appreciative of everybody here. And you guys know that Janelle is not here tonight, but she sends all of her best regards and is looking forward to being back next year as well. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to our new member down there, Jacqueline, for our closing prayer.
Okay, let's pray. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together today and guiding us through the discussions. We are grateful for the insights shared and the decisions made. Thank you for the progress made and the spirit of collaboration that united us this academic year. We are grateful for the dedication of all committee members, staff, and volunteers. Bless their efforts and grant them joy in their services. As we leave this meeting, we entrust all our plans and actions to your divine will for the next academic year. Help us carry forward what we have learned here with faith, humility, and may your Holy Spirit continue to guide us in all we do. Keep us united in purpose, faith, as we go separate ways. Bless each one of us, our families, and our communities. Keep us safe under your care until we meet again. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Okay, that's our meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.